Welcome to the 2026 NFL Draft. This is a moment you've all been waiting for. Yin's ready?
And with the 21st pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Max Ehanure, tackle, Arizona State.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to Point State Park for the 2026 NFL Draft here in beautiful Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We got some fans here. They are excited to be here as day 2 of the NFL Draft kicks off. And welcome to the 2026 Draft Countdown Show presented by UPMC. I'm Missi Matthews, and I am pleased to be joined today for our show by former Steelers General Manager Kevin Colbert. How does it feel to be amongst us and not in a war room right now?
That's what I was just telling you, Miss. It's weird. I mean, you don't understand how big this stuff is to our fans, and it's really great for me to be able to see this because for so many years, you know, we're in the draft room like Omar and the guys are now. You don't understand how big this is, and really having this in Pittsburgh is just amazing.
You're a Pittsburgh kid, and what does it mean to you just to see our city in the spotlight and to see everybody celebrating football?
It's really special. You know, and what I keep asking or keep trying to remind people where the stage is set up. That's where Three Rivers Stadium was. And, you know, we're going to have Louis on here in a little bit, Louis Lips. Louis made a lot of great plays in there, as did so many of our Steelers legends. So it's really cool that it's going on that grounds. But then to see all this and to see what's going on around the city, no one knew what it was going to be like because this is the first time it's ever happened here. We've seen it in other cities, but not our city, and I think it's really special.
I also like the fact it's separated, of course, because we have rivers and we have bridges that we can utilize, but just seeing people being able to come over here to Point State Park, take the Gateway Clipper, or walk over a bridge to go over to the North Shore and vice versa, just feels like it's very vibrant. And, you know, it sounds like they broke a record for attendance last night for day 1 of the draft, which I'm not really shocked.
No, I'm not shocked at all about that. What was neat, though, and again, walking around, you see Steeler fans engaging with Cleveland Brown fans, Giant fans engaging with Philadelphia Eagle fans, but it just shows how the game can bring people together, and it's great for our game.
I did enjoy, though, Art Rooney II, when he was on DVE this week, he said that when he looked at the footprint of inside the draft theater, there were Ravens next to Steelers, and he did ask the league to adjust that a little bit. Those are probably two that don't really get along.
No, that was probably a good security move, too. But hey, you know, all the fans are welcome because this is, I mean, as much as it is about the Steelers, it's really about our great game and what it's done for our fans.
All right, before we get into day 2, the Steelers currently have 4 picks. Let's talk about day 1 and their first round draft pick with the 21st overall pick. They took Max Ehanure out of Arizona State. So let's take a look at some of his highlights.
And with the 21st pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Max Ehanure.
All right, so in terms of offensive line, you have drafted some great ones throughout your career. What is it about, especially the tackle position, that we started to see that run yesterday of teams going for the guys?
Yeah, there's only so many guys that can play that position. You know, when I looked at Max, you can see that he played right tackle, but he's probably athletic enough to kick over to the left side as well. So I think there's still an unknown about that young man. I think there's a there's a lot of upside because he hasn't played football that long either. So again, tackles are hard to find. They're hard to develop, but when they can maybe play both sides, that's very intriguing. And I think that was part of the attraction to him, because not a lot of people, not a lot of college players are able to make that transition to play tackle in the NFL. So I think it was a nice pick, solid pick, but I don't think they've seen the best of Max yet.
It also sounded like, from what he was saying to the media today, yes, grew up in Nigeria, moved to Compton when he was 13. When he went to JUCO after his AAU basketball coach said, "You're a football player," is when he really started, and never in his wildest dreams did he think that that would then lead to an NFL career. How do guys sometimes like that develop and turn into NFL players with such little experience?
Yeah, again, coming from his background, getting here as a 13-year-old, I believe, he wasn't exposed to our game. But he was an athlete, he was playing soccer, he was playing basketball, which for a person of his size to be able to play those two sports, that says something about his athleticism. Now again, it's a completely different world as far as learning it. So it was good that he took some time and continued to develop and at Arizona State. And again, athletically, he can probably play on the other side, but because of his inexperience, I'm guessing they started him on the right side just for a learning curve.
Right.
My guess is, had he had another year in college, he might have been at that left tackle too. So I think there's still a lot of football that they're going to learn, and he'll learn and grow from.
Absolutely. We were watching, there was some highlights of him out in the crowd. I believe he's over on the North Shore, greeting and getting greeted by Steelers Nation. Just knowing that how much that can mean. He took a red eye from LA here to Pittsburgh this morning. Of course, he talked about coming out of the tunnel, his first time in Pittsburgh, and just seeing the beautiful view. Whenever you talk about these first-round draft picks and following the board, one of the things that Omar Khan said last night is we just liked him more and more every time we met him at the Senior Bowl, at the Combine. What is it about guys that can make you change your opinion in a good way through that pre-draft process?
Again, when you're out scouting in the fall, they've probably been looking at Max for a couple seasons. You get to watch the video, you get to go to games, you get to go to practices, but you never meet the individual. You don't find that comfort until you actually get to meet the person under the helmet. The first time was probably at the Senior Bowl, because when they're in their colleges, you don't interfere with what's going on there. So at the Senior Bowl, I'm sure that was their first visit. Combine, another visit. I believe he did a top 30 visit as well. So every time you're around him, you just find more and more comfort and feeling like, okay, we know his talent, but I kind of trust this person too. When you build the talent and you build a trust for the person, then it's a little easier to make that pick.
All right, well, we are lucky to have one of your former first-round draft picks who will be joining us. We talked about arriving in Pittsburgh, finding out the team that you're finally going to play with, and we want to take a look back at when he arrived in Pittsburgh and became a Pittsburgh Steeler. 2 delayed flights, but you finally made it to Pittsburgh. What's your day been like?
It's been crazy because I woke up pretty early. I thought I was going to get in town early. I was ready to get everything started, but now I'm here. I'm really excited. I'm just happy to be in Pittsburgh.
You're now part of the history, buddy. With an opportunity to make a lot of it.
Right.
Talk about the moment last night when you got the phone call that the Pittsburgh Steelers are taking you 15th overall.
It was crazy because I looked at my phone, I seen the area code. I didn't even have to look to see what city it was. I already know that area code. We have a few guys from my team from Pittsburgh, so I was like, it's crazy. I'm about to be a Steeler. My dad he's a huge Pittsburgh fan.
Oh, terrific.
So, yeah, so, like, my uncle's a Dallas fan, too. He's like,
sorry.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said, sorry. Like, I'm happy I'm a Steeler, man. How you doing, Coach?
Good, how about yourself?
Good.
Good to have you here.
How y'all doing? How you doing?
How are you, Ryan?
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good
Welcome.
to see you.
Good to have you here.
How you doing,
How you
Coach?
doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Coach.
What's up, Brian?
How you doing?
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. it's an amazing city. I feel like it's the #1 city in the nation right now. Oh, it's amazing just to have all the fans here and just to be part of it. It just makes me feel like I'm part of the family already.
See ya. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Hey, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Good luck. Okay, you'll meet it.
Thank you. How you doing? How you doing?
How about corned beef? You like corned beef?
Yeah.
Corned beef is delicious.
Let me try the corned beef.
What do you think?
Thank you, Ryan. Welcome. Nice to meet you.
Welcome to Pittsburgh. Welcome anywhere you
Where you living?
And welcome back. We have Ryan Shazier with us to get this crowd pumped up.
Here we go.
All right, we're going to throw some too. I need a kid. Where's a little kid? Come on.
Here we go. There we go. Nice
All right. All right. Everyone's excited and fired up. And Ryan, we were just kind of joking how much younger you looked, and it feels like it was a while ago. Does it feel like it was yesterday, though?
No, I don't feel like it was yesterday. I definitely can tell that I'm a lot older now, but it's crazy to look back at that video because I don't know the last time I seen that, and just to see how young you are and you have that moment, like I still remember that moment like it was yesterday.
Who was the first person you spoke to on the phone?
The first person I spoke to on the phone was Mr. Rooney, and then I talked to Coach LeBeau, Coach Tomlin, and then Mr. Kevin and stuff right here. So it was a great time, and I just, to me, I still remember that moment, and just being in New York, because back then it was in New York, and to be able to walk across that stage was surreal.
Kevin, what do you remember about getting to that point where you were on the clock and he was your guy?
I mean, he was in that range. We kind of knew maybe he'd make it. But really, we had watched Ryan, as I said, sometimes you're looking at these guys for 2 years.
Right.
And he kind of stood out as as an underclassman. He came out a year early, but 2 years before that, Ryan kind of showed up because he was making plays. So, again, we went through the whole process, through the interviews, combine, pro day. He didn't quite finish his pro day because he needed a little more stretch and he pulled his hamstring. But we knew he was right. We knew he was fast because he played fast. But he wasn't only fast; he was physical. He wasn't the biggest guy, but that didn't hurt him in the Big Ten. He could make plays with his speed, but if he had to become physical, that wasn't a problem. But the one thing about Ryan, people don't remember, he was a good cover guy too. How many interceptions did you end up with? 7, which is good.
Right. Oh yeah.
I mean, that's unusual for an inside linebacker, and unfortunately, Ryan didn't get all the years because there would have been many, many more. But Ryan was a 3-down player. And when you got a 3-down player, it's an easy pick in the first round.
Ryan, what did it mean when you finally found out, okay, I'm going to Pittsburgh, I'm a Steeler now? As you're going through that entire process, I can't imagine, you go from college to getting ready for the combine and everything else, and then you're like, okay, I have the answer now, but now I have my first-round draft pick, I have to prove myself too.
Yeah, the one thing that I would say, it's a blessing to be a first-round pick, but then also you have the situations where high expectation counts for high praise. I'm sorry, my allergies are bothering me today. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Yeah,
you can use your towel.
No, I can't use my towel. Yeah. So, because when I first got drafted, I really wanted to be somebody that the team can depend on and can be there in those moments. And it was very frustrating when I first got hurt. But I definitely kept pouring everything I did into the team and have a lot of veteran leadership, and they helped me understand how to stay on the field. But I knew the moment I got to Pittsburgh, defense meant everything. And I just wanted to be able to hold that standard because you don't get drafted here to be just a guy. You get drafted here at linebacker in a leadership position to make a difference, and I wanted to do that for the team.
Ryan, how long did it take you before you started to get comfortable? Because you walked into a pretty good team, you know what I mean? And how long did it take you until you started to feel like I might be one of the guys?
So the first year, you feel very confident and thinking that you know everything. That was not it. The second year, I started to understand the playbook, and I wasn't really thinking about what my assignment was. It was more of how I can make a play in this moment. But by the time I got to my 3rd year, I felt like, hey, this is my playbook. This is my team, as much as Ben felt like it was his team. You know, I felt like I was a guy that people needed to depend on when those moments came around, and I felt that it was my responsibility to be that guy. So the first 2 years, it was more of a learning process for myself, but that 3rd year really made me feel like, hey, like I'm a guy, and I need to be that guy every day.
Right. You knew that there could be something special coming on here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because honestly, his first year, he made a ton of plays with his speed at Ohio State because he was faster than a lot of the Big Ten competition. And he tried to do those same types of things in the NFL. Then he realized, oh, wait a minute, he's pretty big. He's pretty fast. Once he learned the angles, like you said, you adjusted.
Yeah.
And he took his talents, but he adjusted to the other people's talents. That's when he became a Pro Bowl player.
One of the other things that I always noticed about you was if you were not watching extra film with your teammates, you were with Coach Tomlin, or you're in the scouting room, you were there early and every day. How much did that help you getting into that part of football, the mental part, in improving your game each and every year?
I definitely feel that played a big role. I feel that was the jump from my 2nd year to my 3rd year, because I was watching a lot of film, but then when I started really dissect the film, being there all the time, ask Coach Tomlin things, I would go to Ben sometime, ask him advice from a quarterback, I would go to Pouncey, ask him advice from a O-lineman, and I really just kind of poured in all that, and I really felt like it made everything a lot easier. My first 2 years, like Kevin was saying, I was trying to make a lot of plays off of athleticism, and just I was one of those guys that was a rare talent. When it was my 3rd year watching that film, I could see somebody line up and know the situation and like, hey, there's a 70% chance this play is gonna come. And once I see that the ball is snapped and the play is developing, I know exactly what you're doing. And that only came from how much film I was watching and how much time I was spending with my teammates. In my first year, it was more just kind of, I would wait until the play developed and see what happened. My 3rd year, by the time they snapped the ball, I was like, it's 2 or 3 plays you're about to run.
Hey, let me go back to high school. Okay, before you get to Ohio State, when did you start to think, I can maybe do this for a career?
I would say my junior year in high school as well. My freshman year in high school, I went to a school, it's called Blanchely High School. Patrick Peterson went there. And it was kind of cool. I made some plays here and there, but I was a guy that was on the JV, then moved up to the varsity. My sophomore year, I was still on varsity, but it was like I went up and down because I had gotten an injury. Then my junior year, I just kind of blew up, and I started to really see that I have the size and the athleticism to make it to college. And then once I started, like my first offer in high school was Florida State. So it wasn't like I had some smaller offers and it kind of built up. I kind of had a big offer, and it was just like they constantly came. And once I had those offers, I was like, hey, I'm good enough to go D1 in football. But then once I got to Ohio State, my freshman year at Ohio State, I knew I was good enough to go to the NFL.
Yeah, that was awesome. You started as a freshman, did you not?
So I played a lot of games as a freshman, but I didn't end up starting until about the 8th game of the season. I would rotate in a lot. We had a guy named Andrew Sweat, who's actually from Washington, Jefferson area here, and he was a senior. We ended up playing Purdue one year, me in the game, in the 8th game of the year. He ended up getting a concussion the first quarter of the game. And it was really crazy because I would rotate in a lot, and then I rotated in the first quarter, and I was just like, hey, Coach Fick, I know I'm having a good game, but like, why am I still in the game? I literally asked him on the sideline, and he was like, hey Ryan, I just want to let you know, Andrew has a concussion. He's in concussion protocol. This is your game. Just have fun. And I had a really good game, and he was still in the protocol the next game. Then I started versus Penn State. We ended up losing the game, but I had 15 tackles and 2 tackles for loss in my first start. And that really made me like, oh man, like I can do this at the highest level. And then when he came back from concussion protocol, they moved him from the position that I was at to the other linebacker position. So like he took the other starter's position, and they kept me on the field. And from that point on, I never let anybody take that spot for me.
It's awesome.
Ryan remembers just a few exact stats from games,
TFLs,
careers. Yeah, not a big
whatever.
deal, but thank you so much for joining us. One of my favorite draft memories is watching you walk across the stage. That was very cool. And Steelers fans, can we please give Ryan Shazier a big round of applause for joining us? Steelers fans excited for day 2, and once again today our very own Susie Cool went out to talk to Steelers Nations about all things 2026 draft.
What 2 positions do you want to see drafted tonight?
I'm hoping to see wide receiver.
I'm hoping to see a quarterback.
Wide receiver and defensive line.
I would like to see wide receiver first and then a middle linebacker, an inside linebacker.
I would say a wide receiver and offensive lineman.
Well, ultimately, I'd love to see a wide receiver, but if they found something for quarterback, that also would be a great option as well.
Wide receiver and DB.
I want to see wide receiver.
That's a great pick, but I have to go with defensive line. We can never have too many big men on the defensive side. It's Pittsburgh defense, right? Steel curtain.
I think we need to bring a quarterback in.
I want to see wide receiver.
Oh, we definitely need a guard and maybe a wide receiver.
I want to see another wide receiver and a great DB. That would just be perfect.
Personally, I'd like to see a wide receiver and a guard.
Receiver, top receiver, in either a safety or a cornerback.
Kevin, I feel like Steely's getting fans pretty excited as well. They were excited to see Ryan Shazier, and we love having Steelers Nation here to cheer everybody on.
No, it's great. It's great to catch up and talk with Ryan.
We could have spent an hour.
Oh yeah, but it's just nice to bring back those memories because, I mean, it wasn't that long ago, and unfortunately, Ryan's career was cut short, but it was a special career, and he's still a special Steeler.
He absolutely is. All right, it's day 2. A lot of excitement always happens with day 1. I know, at least for you, you used to always wear a suit for day 1. Day 2, it got a little bit more casual. How does that mindset change, or how do you reset from the anticipation, the excitement from day 1 when you go to day 2?
Day 2 is just as important. I mean, there's a lot of good players that are still available, and you try to map out when you did the preparation for the first round. I'm pretty sure they did that same preparation this morning, leading into this evening, with the second and third round. Now they have 4 picks, 1 in the second, 3 in the third, which is a great. That's a great source to have. So I'm sure they walk through, and you probably adjust because of what you did in the first round. Doesn't mean they wouldn't take another offensive tackle if there was one that was that good that they couldn't pass. But they'll reassess where they are, what they want to accomplish today, and they'll go through that same process, and they'll do the same thing again tomorrow.
As you said, the Steelers have 4 picks tonight. There are 9 teams that have 3 or more, but the Steelers are one of 3 teams tied for most in the NFL. Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, and Miami with 4. As you said, there's a second, then there's 3 threes. So do you anticipate 4 picks being had, or do you think there could be some maneuvering?
Well, knowing Omar like we know Omar as a GM, Omar's he's very good at setting up trades, conducting trades, carrying trades out. And if he thinks there's one that's going to benefit the organization, he'll go about doing it. But he also understands that, look, when you got a second and 3 threes, those players are expected to be significant players. They should be starters at some point. So they have the potential to add at least 4 starters today. If they think someone's special beyond that, then they may take some of those 3s and move up, or use some other ones to move some of the 3s up, because they still have some even extra on the bottom end. So it's good to have that extra draft pick potential to maybe move if they feel they want to.
I know that you guys set the draft board, but you can't anticipate or predict what other teams in front of you or behind you are going to do. How are you able, in a war room for everybody, scouts, ownership, coaches, to just follow the board and not worry about what other people are doing?
You have to focus on you. You can't worry about another team. Coach Tallman and I forget, I think it was the Pouncey draft, we stopped looking at mock drafts. Like, we can't predict this. What do we want to do?
Right.
Okay, we don't care about other teams. We're doing what we need to do when we need to do it. So when you focus on yourself, it eliminates all the the noise, and you just got to say, okay, no, this is the best thing for us. This is how we have to go about it.
Tonight for day 2, the second and third round. The second round is 7 minutes. The third round goes down a little bit, and then tomorrow they go quicker. But I felt like last night, and of course there was a number of trades, the first round went faster because of those 2 minutes they took away from each team.
That was great. I mean, because, and let's be honest, that sometimes those picks are turned in 2 minutes, and the league will hold them before they announce it. A lot of times the teams will follow, because once they're turned in, it comes out on a screen that's in the draft room, so you know who was picked before it's announced. So, but I always got mad. I couldn't do anything about it because obviously we have to sell some ads too.
Right.
I understood that, but it used to frustrate me. Like, all right, picks in, announce it, let's go. We want to get ready for the next one. But I mean, that's just the normal anxiety. But I'm glad they took it down to 8. Today, you know, it's 7. It'll be quicker for that second round. And the third round, I believe it goes down to 5. Or is that tomorrow? I'm not even sure how they changed it.
Well, yeah, it goes down to 5, and then I think they're doing now for 7th round and compensatory picks, it's even shorter too. So just a little bit of tweaks, but I thought last night went great in terms of tempo and different stuff. But I'm hearing some Steelers fans, so that probably means that Steely or somebody is behind us doing something, which we love to see as we're getting closer and closer. As we sit here at 6:29, the draft getting ready for day 2 to kick off at 7 p.m. here in Pittsburgh. Love saying that. When Ryan said he was in New York, that made me go, holy crap, it feels like forever that the draft was held in New York City and not in, you know, a different city. But I have to admit, after watching other cities have the benefit, I'm glad we get a turn too.
Oh, no, it's great. I mean, again, you can't get enough of this. This is something that this city is going to remember for a lot of years. You know, we've all been to Super Bowls and experienced it, and this is different because, you know, sometimes when you go to the Super Bowl experience, you have to have a ticket.
Right.
People don't need tickets. This is great because it's like training camp. I hate to use the phrase on steroids, but it's training camp, you know, however many times. It's just great because everybody can be here. And like I said, it's great for the game because we got fans from everywhere, not just Steelers fans.
All right, well, we are going to show you some highlights of our next guest. Kevin kind of tipped our hand early a little bit in the show, but that's okay. Let's take a look at the highlights, and then we'll see why Steelers Nation's fired up behind us. Saw him sneaking on. We couldn't hide him, Kevin. He's kind of There we go. What is it like being here in Pittsburgh and just watching the chaos, but beautiful chaos, and just love for football around this city and what's about to happen tonight and again tomorrow?
Oh my God! I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, I can remember from day one I stepped foot in Pittsburgh. I mean, these people that already felt like they knew me, like I'd been here already, and they're like, hey, Lewis, and I'm turning around, I'm like, who are these people? How do they know me? You know, but you know, that's just the atmosphere that Pittsburgh had for their football and their players, and you know, they've been doing this that way for a long time. So for me, it's a pleasure. I mean, you know, to hear all the fans still remember the things that you did. You know, we didn't bring no trophy here, but you know, we was out there, you know, trying to bring some wins home.
Lewis got one trophy. He got that Hall of Honor.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
Yep, that's a good one. That's a good one.
You know what I mean? Hey,
I had a lot of help too now. So.
When you were coming out of Southern Miss, did you have any inkling that the Steelers might be a team that would be looking at you?
Well, I can remember talking to Bill Nunn, and he was the one that asked me did I have any interest in playing in National Football League, you know? And I'm like, me? You sure? He said, yeah, I think you can play in National Football League. He said, I think you'd be pretty darn good at it. And I, you know, and it had some weight in my mind, had me thinking about this. And so he said, yeah. He said, look, we're going to keep our eye on you. You know, you keep doing the things you're doing. I said, you will end up in the NFL. So he said, so, I mean, you know, hey, man, I just kept my head to the grindstone and worked hard. And we didn't throw the ball a whole lot. You know, we ran the ball an awful lot. But, you know, and then whenever we got our chances, you know, made it worth a while. So,
and you were just watching the highlights. You know, Louis could make the plays.
Oh, yeah.
Down the field, he could make big guy plays. You know what I mean? A lot of times you want those guys 6'3", 6'4" for those big balls down the field. But he could make that play. But he was also, if he was in today's game with the bubble screens, the now screen, hitting his ball in hand on jet sweeps, the returns were a given with you. But to be able to do what they do in today's game, this man would have fit in today's game as well, because he could play outside, he could play inside, and he could also play on that back end as a return guy, which is special. We were talking to Rod yesterday. Woodson was the same way. You know what I mean? Rod could be a corner, safety, returner, and Rod did he did some receiver stuff when he was at Purdue. So it's kind of like those are special people, and that's why he was a first rounder, and that's why he's got that Hall of Honor.
You see, he wore his shirt. He wanted to make sure we didn't forget, Kev, that we're on our P's.
He's going to be on TV, so I had to give myself a little shout out.
No, hey, absolutely, it is a big deal. You know, it took a while for that to take place and for the members to be inducted. But earlier when we were talking about the North Shore and where that draft stage was built, and Kevin reminded me that that's where Three Rivers Stadium was. Is it crazy just to think of things that happened there and what is happening there now?
Oh yeah, I mean, you look back at going to Three Rivers as opposed to coming to, well, now Acrisure was Orange Field. You know, I can remember going in the inner circle is where we used to park. And then after games, I mean, the fans were like, they were jammed up against the doors waiting for you to come out. You know, I went to a game, after I'd finished playing, we went to a game, and the other players were coming out, and they had the whole parking lot barricaded. You know, like, where was this when we were playing? You know, we didn't have it. So I can remember some people staying in the back of my car and wouldn't move until I'd sign them an autograph. So,
do you ever?
I mean, that was just part of it. That was just part of it. It was very engaging.
You can't do it now, obviously, because of the crowd over there. But do you ever go and kind of walk around those parking lots, like where Franco's, you know, the memorial of the Immaculate Reception? You ever find yourself walking and saying, wow, I made a play like right here? and, you know, kind of feeling all those fans, because I think that's a cool, and I hope the fans understand that's sacred ground where they're standing. So many great players like yourselves and the Joe Greens and Mel's and, you know, Rod, they played on that spot. And I always think that's I do it up at training camp, and we're up on the Bill Nunn bench looking down on those fields. Now, you guys sweat down there, and, you know, you worked. But I always think about, wow, there was a lot of great players down on those fields.
That's a great analogy, because you know, I walk that way a lot. I go to a lot of tailgates in that area, and you know, it never really came to mind to say, like, I used to run routes right here, man. You know? So, you know, Kevin, you gave me something. I'm gonna have to do that next time.
Hey, I know where that is.
Hey, man, you know what happened right here?
Right here. Right here. You're gonna remember some big play, that's some touchdown or some return.
What has it been like feeling the love for yourself, for your former teammates, but then also seeing Steelers Nation embracing the new guys that are coming in? Just one so far, but we know there's going to be many more guys becoming members of the Black and Gold.
Well, I mean, you know, for one, they're going to have thick skin. And they're going to just have to learn how to embrace it and see why Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh, and why the fans relate to the players so well. So it's going to probably be a little bit more unique than they've seen in college. But you know, if they stick with it and keep their nose to the grindstone, hard work, and you know, want to be that number one, want to be hosting that trophy at the end of the year. You know, they're gonna make it happen. They'll make it happen.
That's awesome. You've chose to make Pittsburgh your home.
That's right.
You know? And you put the weather aside and said, no, this is where I want to be.
That was my homeboy always that. He said, man, he says, you don't want to come back to Louisiana? I'm like, I said, I'm good with making a few trips every year, man. You know, he says, well, man, how you deal with the cold weather up there? I said, well, easy. You know, if it gets too cold, I'll stay in the house. You know, plain and simple.
That's great.
Pittsburgh's that city where I feel like you can become a Yinzer. You don't have to be born here. I think if you can embrace what it is as a Yinzer, as a Steeler, you can kind of fit right in. And I from the crowd reaction, I'm going to say you fit more than okay.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, man. I mean, you come here, you do what's asked of you. You make plays, you go to work, you practice hard, you play hard. You know, this city is going to embrace you till the day you leave this earth. You know, so that's just the richness, and I can say like not too many other NFL cities has that same kind of aura.
Right.
Pittsburgh is one of a kind when it comes to the players and the fans.
Now, Lewis, now in today's game, the players for their off-season training, they're in Florida, they're in Arizona. You know, they're not in Pittsburgh, Buffalo, or Detroit. Where did you train in the off-season?
Right there in Three Rivers. I mean, you know, we had our little bitty weight room, probably about as big as the stage right here, and me and John Colbert and Webby, God bless his soul, we used to run the stadium steps and the ramps, and you know, that's where we got we was making money, but we wasn't making enough money to hire a trainer and go spend a month in Florida and train. So, you know, we had to make do with what we had, you know. And
along those lines,
pay it off a little bit.
Along those lines, Green 21 was their 60-yard grass practice field, which you probably hated to go to. Because
very nice parking lot.
You had to jog across the parking lot through traffic.
And we had to walk from the stadium all the way, well, I say all the way, but it was a nice little walk in our cleats on that asphalt. You know, which wasn't too much fun by the time we got there.
And that practice field was pretty much like that asphalt, too, let's be real.
But you embraced what it meant to be a Steeler. You are still a Steeler, and we really thank you for your time. You were talking so much about this football town, about Pittsburgh, and if anybody has not gone to see the football town over at the Carnegie Science Museum, right across from Acrisure Stadium, it is playing free throughout the weekend. There's some selected times, and I would recommend that anybody goes to see it. So in case if you haven't, here's a little taste of what you could expect.
In 5, 4, 3, and 2, 1, send them.
With the steel that we created here, we built the most beautiful thing in the United States of America.
X marks the spot where Franco made the Immaculate Reception.
What's in the water that produces such great players?
The Yinzer is a tough person.
Pittsburgh!
You play with swagger. You play with an edge. We are unleashing hell.
We stick together. We find a way to get it done. Touchdown! This is the football time.
This is the game you've played since you were children.
It's an opportunity for you guys to solidify your legacy. This is your story.
I thought it was phenomenal.
I love the movie.
It was great. Yeah, it was great. Great. It was good.
I like seeing all the local high schools that I've played against before.
What's your favorite part? Pitt Panthers?
Yes.
The baptism, where my friend's tailgate was in it, and some of my friends were in there.
I loved the little kids getting so excited about playing football.
It fires you up, makes you want to go to a game.
I think what makes Western PA special is the Friday night lights.
the uniqueness of all the small towns and the schools, and it's really something special to be a part of.
Just the traditions and the memories that shape the teams.
It's kind of bred into you that every Sunday that's what you did. You had dinner with your family and you watched football.
It bonds you, and they said it in there, you feel like you're part of the team.
This movie really brought out the spirit of Pittsburgh.
All right, well, Kev, you and your family are enjoying the beauties of this draft and experiencing everything at Point State Park over at the North Shore, but you're going to have to take your grandson to go see a football town. Pat McAfee, fellow Mustang, narrated it, but I have to say it is incredible. I learned a few things, but just the cinematic views, the rivers, the drone shots, it's incredible.
It's kind of like what the people are being exposed to if they've never been to Pittsburgh before this weekend with the draft. I think, and again, I'm real anxious to see it because it captures what football means to Western Pennsylvania. I mean, it's huge. No matter if it's the Steelers, Pitt, Robert Morris, Duquesne, or the high school game of the week. It's huge. It's a big part of our fabric, and it's cool. I really want to see that story just because I'm sure it brings it together like this weekend's bringing it together as well.
Well, it's not even just the Steelers in terms of the Hall of Fame and the amount of people. When you think of Western Pennsylvania, as you said, just the quarterbacks that have come out of this area is really incredible when you think about it. And I thought the film did a great job of just showcasing that. If you happen to never know anything about football or never know anything about Pittsburgh, when you watch it, you're like, what's in that water? You know, what's going on over there?
You said the quarterbacks, it's the Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Oh, right. It's crazy.
From here. I mean, it's amazing. It speaks to what the game means to this city, this region. It's special.
All right, well, we're going to be adding some more Steelers tonight during the draft day 2. Rounds 2 and 3 will be taking place, and somebody special will be announcing one of those picks. And if you haven't had a chance yet, another thing you have to see, I know I'm putting a lot on everyone's plate, but a Steelers story, Super Scout Bill Nunn. Everybody that we've talked to yesterday and day has talked about how much Bill Nunn has meant to them and how much he's meant to this community and to the Steelers organization. Here's a little preview, and then after that I had a chance earlier today to catch up with somebody who's very involved in that project.
This is where the Bill Nunn story flows into the John Stallworth story, and it forever changed my life. Everybody knew who Bill was. Bill was a man. When he came to campus, everybody paid attention. You knew Bill was there, and you knew what a good relationship with Bill meant to you as a football player and going into the NFL. In 1974, after my senior year, Bill came to campus with a number of other scouts.
And in those days, there was no combine, there were no pro days. The scouts would get together and say, okay, we're going to run and work this player out.
It was a cold day. It was a wet day. And I don't think I ran my best time.
He runs, and his time isn't all that great. And so the scouts were all walking back to their car afterward, and Nunn starts coughing. He's like, guys, I don't feel well. I'm gonna hang back. I'll catch up with you at the next stop. And as soon as they pull out of the parking lot, Nunn runs back to Stallworth's dorm, knocks on the door, and said, "Hey, will you try out for me again? Do you want to run again?"
Bill wants to time me again. He wants to take me to a different place, so we go to a local high school. I run the 40. Bill says, "Okay, Big, that's good." And he never says anything else to me. I don't know what I ran. I don't know if the time was better than the day before. I don't know whether this is out of the norm.
But what he actually ran, nobody knows. And that, in the meantime, when he stayed back that extra day, with his relationships with the coaches at Alabama A&M, he said, "Hey, can I take that film?"
Nunn goes back to the athletic office and grabs up all the film on John Stallworth, but then holds on to the film so no one else in the NFL can see the same material.
And he promised he would get the film to share with the other scouts. And for some reason, that didn't happen. I don't know what happened.
Well, I heard it kind of got lost. The film on it and everything, everybody looking at the film on it, it kind of got lost.
John probably isn't that happy that Bill may have been responsible for him lasting to the 4th round, but everything turned out all right in the end.
All right, and everybody can catch the full version of the Super Scout Bill Nunn, and you were lucky to take part in it, and I know that that meant so much to you because of Bill Nunn and what he meant. What was that process like for you?
It was fun. Missi, there was a lot of reminiscing, going back over some things that I remember very well and some things I almost forgotten. We laughed about a lot of the things, and I'm asked what did I run in that last 40 time, and I don't know, and I don't know whether Bill fudged the number or what, but good times, and certainly the kickoff for me of my experience with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Tonight you have a very important job of announcing the Steelers' second-round draft pick. What does that mean to you to do it here in Pittsburgh at Acrisure Stadium?
Well, just to be in the environment right now. This draft in Pittsburgh is special, and you can tell by the turnout of the folks and how many people are here buzzing around. It's special. It's special because of my association with Bill and what he meant to our draft over the years. Special because of that reason. Special because I get to bring my grandkids here and they get a chance to see me in the environment. But for those reasons and just a really solid relationship with a fine organization that presented a lot of role models for me over the course of my career, Chuck Noll and Dan Rooney and the entire Rooney family and guys I played with. Special because of that, and I'm here representing all of that.
What do you think this would have meant to the guys that you mentioned, Bill Nunn, DMR, and Chuck Noll, to know that the draft found its place back in Pittsburgh to just showcase this city and the football town that it is?
I think from the standpoint of what they were doing and the way they were doing and the novelty of what they were doing, I think it acknowledged that they were doing it the right way. I think a lot of teams have since tried to duplicate what they were doing. So I think it's sort of a pat on the back that you were doing it right. Certainly the acknowledging of what was going on in the black colleges and the talent that was there. And that talent was brought to bear in Pittsburgh. And I think a lot of teams saw that and wanted to duplicate that. So I think they're partly knowing that they are humble folks. I think they probably would stick their chest out a little bit, thinking that we did that and we did it well.
That's right. And a lot of gold jackets for Steelers, such as yourself, walking around here during the draft, which is great to see because there's just so many of you. But does it ever get old talking about your draft class?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. You know, when we were drafted, we had no idea that what we were going to develop into as players and as a team. But just looking back on it, maybe a little bit of being naive about the goings-on in the NFL, how my talent compared to the rest of the NFL, didn't know that. And so it doesn't get old, and I enjoy the story. I mean, the piece that we did with Bill, still a story, Bill Nunn, I think I've watched it at least 10 times already. So.
When we always talk to Mel Blount, we talked to him about how he changed the game. In terms of wide receivers, what have you seen in terms of the biggest changes and maybe things that you like to do that they can't do now?
Oh, well, I don't know that anything I did that they can't do now. But certainly, I think guys are, for the most part, bigger. They are stronger. The conditioning is a lot better for them than it was when I played. But I came into the league in an environment when we threw the ball only when we had to. We had a big running back that everybody knew about, and so we loved handing the ball off to him, and we had a great deal of success doing that. But we gradually moved into a time when we could exploit Bradshaw's talent and Swan's eye. And so that was fun. So we saw a change.
Right.
I think the receivers today are more used to seeing the ball and seeing it a lot and getting a lot of opportunities to catch the ball during the course of a football game. We go through a game in my era, if we got 4 or 5 chances, we thought that was a lot. So it has changed.
You mentioned Terry Bradshaw. He's been around. We saw him up on stage last night for the first round. What's it been like being around him throughout this weekend?
Well, I think for all of us, we were all so very, very competitive. Not just with the people that we played against in the games, but in some ways with each other, to be better, to to be the guy that the other guys thought was worthy of being a part of the team. So it's a more relaxed environment. Talking to Terry now and talking to Joe now and talking to Mel now.
Right.
So it's a lot more relaxed environment, and you can reminisce. And even you can allow yourself to tell a lie every now and again about what you did and how well you played.
In terms of being around all the football fans here, Steelers fans most importantly, do they talk to you about what they want to see happen in the draft through the next 2 days? Are you giving your opinion? How has this interaction been with Steelers Nation?
Yeah, I don't think I have enough information to make an educated opinion about what we should do and what's going on within the team and what we need more. I think you almost have to know the availability of folks and what's going on, where the weaknesses are, and so I'm not around the team enough to know all of that. I think everybody's excited about the expertise over the years that the Steelers have brought to drafting. And I think we're comfortable in realizing that they're going to do a good job and when they're going to bring good people to the table. I think this year will be an example of that. And hopefully last night's choice moves on to do great things for the Steelers. But we got, 10 more choices, 11 more choices to make. And so we're excited about that, but excited about the process here in Pittsburgh of selecting people and bringing those people in and teaching them how to be a Steeler. And recognizing that they have the ability to be what we want them to be and drafting them.
Omar Khan, the GM, always talks about picking guys that look like Steelers or made of Steelers. To you, how would you define what a Steeler is? I think it's a guy that loves football, a guy that loves to compete during the course of the game, certainly a guy that has talent. A guy that has the ability to blend in and be a part of a team. Those things are most important to me. From year to year, era to era, the philosophies change, but I think the attributes, physical attributes and mental attributes don't change. They're always the same, and I think we know how to do that with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I always go back to Troy Polamalu's speech at the Hall of Fame where he talked about the old guys always said you could have played with us and how much that meant. How has that carried on throughout the decades of that continuing for the Steelers organization? Well,
you come in and I think you learn the history of the organization and you see film about what guys that played before you, how they did it, and the intensity that they did it, and the consistency that they did it. And you want to play with that intensity, that consistency, and certainly bring your talents to bear. And in tough situations where if the game's on the line, you can step forward and do that. And you look at that and you look at the guys that did that and you want to do that same thing.
Right.
And so after your career is over, you can look back and use those 4 things as judgment of whether you did that. And so I think that's what Troy was talking about.
All right, well, good luck tonight. The Porters, Joey Porter Sr. and Joey Porter Jr. are going to do some of the 3rd-round picks. My money is on you doing it the best, though.
Okay.
No pressure.
Okay, no pressure at all.
Yeah, you have that great voice from helping out with the Steeler Scout, Super Scout Bill Nunn. So thank you for your time, and we'll get you over to Ackerson.
Yeah, I heard myself talk the other day, and I think we need to voice over or something like that. So we're looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay.
In terms of being around, all right, John Stallworth is over there, maybe in the green room, who knows where, getting ready to announce the Steelers' 2nd-round pick, 53rd overall. Sorry you didn't get a chance to catch up with him, but first time he's announcing a pick, at which I really thought at some point he would have done that, but very excited to do it.
I'm sure. I mean, John's such a special, obviously alumni Hall of Fame, all that, but he's just such a special person. And now he's involved with the Steeler ownership. It's just beautiful what he's done with his life after his great career. He's put together another great career, which speaks volumes about the character of that man.
His 2 grandsons came with him, so they were kind of watching while we were doing the interview, and fans were cheering, and he's like, oh, I'm like, you're wearing your gold jacket. That might be why they noticed you. But right. He was very excited, and it was great to see. And I just, love that the draft is here in Pittsburgh as we get ready. Day 2, we're now 3 minutes away from round 2 kicking off. At this moment, what would be happening in the scouting room?
Pretty much the same as yesterday when they're waiting for, you know, everything to begin. They've mapped it out. They just have to wait. Unless they're, you know, again, are they going to trade up? Who knows? But I'm sure they made preliminary calls. You never really make those calls for the trade, the actual trade, until you're on the clock. So it's just a lot of anticipation and waiting, you know.
Hurry up and wait.
Oh yeah, it is. But it's once it starts, it's like, wow, how did it happen so fast? So it's a lot of waiting, but once it rolls fast.
And with 4 picks tonight, it'll be exciting to see whether they take them, move them, or who knows what. But Kev, thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate it. You were a great co-host. I'll tell Hokie you did a little bit better than him, just to rub it in a little bit.
All right, thank you.
All right, as we say goodbye, taking a shot at all of Steelers Nation, having fun here at Point State Park. Everything's moving over to the North Shore as the Day 2 of the 2026 NFL Draft is set to begin. Thanks for joining us on the Steelers Countdown Show presented by UPMC.